Assalamu alaikum, welcome everybody. I just wanted to come on here impromptu to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are changing in the homeschooling world. There are things happening beneath the surface that you might not be aware of in the homeschooling sector, in the education sector. And I wanted to come on here and just to make sure that you knew what was going on in the world. And then answer any of your questions. If you've got questions about homeschooling or anything that I can help you with, feel free to pop it in the comments. So something that is really coming up that you might have noticed yourself is that more and more families have started to homeschool, are planning to homeschool this coming year. Either they've already started, if they're in the States, or they're going to be starting now, this September here in the UK. And I think that's happening for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is that lockdown became this catalyst for change. And families who had considered homeschooling before were now forced to do it, to try it, to test the waters. And they loved it. And that makes me so happy. They got to try something they'd always wanted to do, but felt, for whatever reason they couldn't. They tried it out and they fell in love. And that is one of the reasons why more and more people are homeschooling this coming year than ever before. Another reason, which is slightly more worrying, is that they have now seen, because their kids have been at home and they've been educating them, they've seen the holes that there are in their education. Not necessarily the flaw in the school, but perhaps a flaw within mainstream education itself. And they're not happy to send their children back to school. If you fit into any of those categories, give me a thumbs up, wave at me, whatever, because I know that on this forum, in this community, there are other people who are going to be homeschooling for the first time. This community here is here to support you and help you. And if you have a question, pop it in the comments. Another reason, why people are homeschooling now is if they're in the States, it might be because they have to, because schools are not yet open in their state. Another reason why people are homeschooling, and again, this is quite worrying, is because of the changes that are happening in the schools now. Because of the pandemic and everything, some schools are enforcing more on children, older children, but still on children nonetheless. Walaikum salam, Karat, how are you? So yes, they're forcing children to wear face masks in some schools, in some countries. I hope that is not happening here in the UK. I've not heard that yet, but it could happen. I've seen photographs of children behind screens, at their desks behind screens, and that breaks my heart. But that is happening. And again, I don't think that's in the UK. I'm not sure what country that's in, but it is happening to children. And that's another reason why more and more families are deciding that they don't want to send their children to school. They're going to take responsibility for their education at home. And it's a very exciting time as more and more families start to take on this responsibility themselves. I really do think that we're going to see things changing. I can see that this is, a new generation that is going to be brought up at home. And I hope that is going to be the beginning of educational reform, that the schools are going to pick up on this and say that they need to change. The other alternative is that it might cause some difficulty for home educators. I hope that's not the way it's going to go. Make dua that actually what's going to happen is that the educational system is going to reform and that things need to change. We've all been through these unprecedented times. We've not ever had to go through something like this. And if you're in a position now where you're going to be homeschooling this coming year, and you're afraid, you're scared because it's so uncertain, I want you to just try and reframe those thoughts. Yes, it's scary because it's unknown, but instead of worrying about what the negative could happen, what happens if I'm not good enough, what happens if I fail, etc., etc., why don't you reframe it? I've written down some things. Why don't you start thinking about what this experience could look like? What could it feel like for you homeschooling? What is homeschooling going to enable you to do that you could never have done before? What is it going to mean for your children? What are they going to be able to do now that they could never have done before? What if, instead of being scary, what if this could be fun? What if this could be freeing and meaningful? Try and reframe those thoughts that are bringing you down. into something positive, because that is going to help you push you through those difficult stages. And if you're in a position right now where you're still on the fence, whether you're going to homeschool or send the kids back to school, first of all, I want to say that either way, you know what's best. If you've decided to send your children to school and you've really weighed up the options and that's what you've decided, then I support that decision, because nobody has the right to tell you either way what you should do with your own children. You know what's best for your children, not anybody else. They have no right, and don't allow anybody else to weigh in on that decision. Conversely, if you've decided you want to homeschool your children, then don't let anybody else make you feel bad about that either. Don't let anybody else weigh in on that decision, because you know what's best for them. This time, these changes, this pandemic, everything that's been going on, it's incredibly exciting, because this is an invitation to you, to all of us, to change, to reflect on the way we used to do things, and to look at that and see what worked and what didn't work. It's an invitation for us to change the way we move forward. And many, many families are doing that now, are making changes, big changes. And if you do decide to homeschool, know that it's flexible. You can homeschool now and you can send them back to school in January. Or if you decide to send them to school, but for whatever reason you feel it's not the right decision in a couple of months, you can pull them out of school. These things are flexible, are fluid. You know, you're not committed to something forever. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments. Let me get this one up on... Oh, there's some coming up on Facebook. I would also, before any of you disappear, just give you a little bit of word of warning that some of the experts out there are hinting towards the fact that there may be a lockdown again, a second lockdown this coming autumn. That's not fact, but it has been hinted upon. And so I want you just to bear that in mind as you go into these next few months, that there might be another lockdown coming, and what that could mean to you. It could also be that they make vaccination compulsory for school children. So again, that might be something you want to bear in mind, whatever your views may be on vaccination, whatever they may be. It might be something that you want to think about as something that is almost certainly going to happen in the future. And in my opinion, they're probably going to happen together. You're going to get a secondary lockdown and compulsory vaccination happening at the same time. And that's probably going to be happening this autumn, this winter time. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the questions. Somebody asked, what's the name of your community? Our Muslim Homeschool. This is the community here. If you want to join our emailing community, I send a weekly email out all about homeschooling. You can join that. If you go to ourmuslimhomeschool.com, there'll be a little place there where you can pop your email and you'll get a weekly newsletter filled with inspiration and advice to help you homeschool your children. Walaikum salam. Please upload this video on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, of course, it will be uploaded onto Facebook. It'll be saved in the video tab, Lubna, so don't worry. And on Instagram as well. I think it goes straight to IGTV. So if you can't hang around, don't worry. Can we homeschool, but not us as parents as the main educator? Can we hire a tutor? Is that a bad homeschool? Mariam, if that's what you want to do with your children, then that's what you want to do with your children. Don't let anybody tell you what's a good homeschool and a bad homeschool. This is your opportunity to craft your own way for your children. If you want to get tutors in to homeschool your children, then do it. Go for it. If that's the right thing for your family, then that's the right thing for your family. And I do know parents who do that, and that is still home education. If you're bringing the tutors to your children, or you're taking your children to private classes, homeschooling really can be whatever you want it to be. But essentially it means that your children are not in mainstream education. And if that means you hire in tutors, then do that. That's absolutely fine if that's what you feel is right for your children. Nadia's asking, what type of reform would you like to see in schools? Firstly, Nadia, I would like to see schools prioritize creativity more. I think that is completely neglected. And I would really like to find a way where schools can tap into the individual needs of children. At the moment it's 30 plus children in a class, and how on earth can even the best of teachers cater to the needs of all those children? At the moment, the education system is based, it's grounded on a system which was not in the best interest of the children, but it was to create workers for factories. And if you're not aware of that, just Google factory schools and you'll find out all that information. And so if you're things obviously have changed now, and now the schools are there to educate children, but they were created on a flawed system. So if we can change what those foundations are, if we can change things and start again, I think we can find a way to allow more creativity, not only for the children, but in the way the teachers are allowed to teach their subjects and share their expertise with their students. Okay, I just have a little scroll through here on Instagram, see if there's anything going. I've read the book you recommended. What book's that? Let me know. I'm not sure which book you mean. It's impossible with the numbers to focus on individuals. Yes, that's right. At the moment, it's impossible to focus on the individual needs of each student because of the numbers. But what if there could be a way that it was not impossible? What if we could change things? It's not necessary. The system we have now is not the gold standard. In fact, it's far from the gold standard. And there must be ways that we can change that. Shireen's saying she needs to call some mums I know who are on the fence about homeschooling. Yeah, I mean, by all means do, and give them encouragement and help them to make a decision one way or the other. It's not for us to judge because, in some situations, it is best for the children to go to school. And in some situations, it's best for the children to be homeschooled. And as an outsider, it's difficult to weigh in on that. It's up to the parents, and the parents do know best. Somebody's saying, kids need to have more friends. How do you solve this problem? I mean, I've not had a problem with my children making friends. Children, mashallah, are much easier at making friends. They find it much easier than us adults do. Our kids go to classes outside of the home. They have their Arabic and their Islamic classes. They go to sports classes. And then they pick up friends there. And then for me, we just invite them over. We just have them over to the house, or we take them out places with us when we go on outings. That's how we get around that situation. And also, in every city, certainly in the UK, there are homeschool communities where your children can make friends with other homeschoolers of all different backgrounds. So yeah, for us, socialization has not been a problem. That's not to say, for children who are in more isolated communities, it might be difficult. But, for parents, for mothers, if something's important, we have an incredible way of making things happen. When we know that something's needed for our children, we find a way to make it happen, don't we? So, we just ask Allah for tawfiq and whatever's best for our children. Bismillah. Any more? Can you please post this website again? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. What websites do you mean? It's Our Muslim Homeschool. Is that what you're talking about? That's the name of my website, ourmuslimhomeschool.com. Okay, this is a great question. What are 3 quick best ways for mums to stay organized and focused? Okay, so my 3 top tips. I can think of 2 quickly. Let me give those to you. Number 1, you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you homeschooling? If you're homeschooling, why are you raising your children the way you're raising? What is your why? What is your intention? And every single day, at least once, but ideally more than once, you are going to renew that intention. I am raising my children this way. I am homeschooling because of this. And say it, remind yourself every morning before your kids wake up. That will help you stay focused and motivated. And it will lift you up on those difficult days. The second thing I would recommend is that you make to-do lists, prioritize things. Have a list of 3 priorities for the day, whether that's, housework or if you work from home or homeschooling. Have your 3 top priorities and put them down on a piece of paper. Have I got any here? Yeah, you can kind of see here. I've done a half one. This is actually, I didn't know you were going to ask this question. I will typically put it in categories. So I'll have one category that says home. I'll have one that says work. I have one that says school, and I have one that says personal. And under there, I will have my 3 main priorities for each. And I make sure that those 3 get ticked off. And that way I'm moving towards, I'm balanced, I'm getting enough done in each of those categories, and I'm moving towards my goals, inshallah. I hope that helps. Why are you screaming? Speak softly. Am I screaming? Please turn your volume down, Faiza. I'm not screaming. Okay, Bismillah. What are your thoughts about classical education, trivium, quadrivium? Can this be linked to? Yeah, so Simon, Charlotte Mason, actually, the foundation of Charlotte Mason Homeschool is a classical one. And quite often people consider Charlotte Mason and classical as two separate forms of home education. But actually, once you dig into it, you actually find that the Charlotte Mason philosophy is grounded on a classical approach. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend the works by Karen Glass. What is the name of her book? Okay, I can't find the name. I can't remember the name of the book, but there are books by Karen Glass about that exact topic. And so actually Charlotte Mason and classical education are not two separate things. They are, actually Charlotte Mason's philosophy was grounded upon a classical approach, and so they work very well together. And you will find homeschoolers who sort of mesh the two approaches together because they are so similar and because they build upon one another. Okay, let's see. We've got another one. Okay, Irma's asking, do the LEA come over? So the LEA is your educational authority here in the UK. Do they come over to check on your child's education often? Do you show them progress that your children make? You do not legally have to have anybody from the LEA over to your house. It's not a legal requirement. They have no right to step foot in your property. They also have no right to request to get any information from you at all. The only exception to that is if they have a concern about the welfare of your children. If there's some kind of concern there, whether that's health or some kind of welfare, then you do have to cooperate with them. Otherwise, you don't. So it's completely up to you. Some people find the LEA very supportive and helpful, and they help them find resources and give them support. Other people do not, and they find them very invasive. And that really varies from region to region. And you won't really know unless you get in touch with other home educators near to you. It does vary from place to place. So you don't have to do anything. They don't need to come to your home and check up on you, and you don't need to show them anything unless you want to. I hope that answers your question. Do you have any recommendations for math curriculum? Yes. Okay, so for maths, I can only recommend what we've used. We have used Math Mammoth, which we like. We've used Singapore Maths. We didn't like Singapore Maths. I used it with my eldest son, and he found it too slow paced. We were missing very large chunks out of it because he already got the concept. He didn't need it repeated over and over again. And so for us, it wasn't worth the money because we were missing out large parts of the workbook. So for us, Singapore didn't work. But I know a lot of families do like Singapore Maths. Another one we liked was, we've used Saxon Math. We liked it for a while, but it was very intense, and it doesn't fit with a Charlotte Mason philosophy. So a Charlotte Mason homeschool has very short lessons. Saxon Math, the lessons are very long. They're very thorough, but it doesn't fit with our approach to homeschooling, so we stopped doing that. We like Life of Fred. Life of Fred is a very different approach to teaching maths. It's taught through stories. There are no worksheets and just a few practice questions. We have found, though, with time that if there is a topic that your child doesn't grasp straight away with Life of Fred, you are going to have to find supplemental material elsewhere to incorporate with it, because there just isn't enough practice questions in Life of Fred. But I do think on their website, they do offer worksheets. I've not personally checked that out, but I think Life of Fred do offer worksheets now. But we tend to supplement with either Schofield and Sims, which are readily available here in the UK, or Math Mammoth, which again is a very affordable math program which you can find online. We've used Khan Academy, where they have videos. That's a really good option if you are struggling to teach maths. If math scares you, you can find every mathematical concept for children explained on Khan Academy for free in video form. So it's a really good resource. We've used CTC Math, which is an online program, and that's great as well if you're in a stage of life where you just don't have time. You've got kids, or you're moving house, or little kids, or you're moving house, you're pregnant, you're unwell, whatever the reason, an online program like CTC Math works well. We've tried Conquer Maths. A lot of home educators like that. We didn't like it because it's very competitive. Well, it's not very competitive, but my son found the competitive aspect of it quite stressful. So if your child might get stressed by the idea of competing with other children, that might not be the one for you. Okay. Thank you, Ira. That's really sweet of you. So Sima's saying that, mashallah, she's devoting a lot of time to hifz of Quran, mashallah, and it does mean that sometimes other subjects are neglected. Yes, okay. So, in your situation, Sima, it comes down again to your why. If you are homeschooling right now so that your children can memorize large portions of the Quran, then that is your priority, and that is what's right for your children, and you shouldn't worry, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. What you need to do then is consider for the other subjects, what is a priority for the other subjects, and how can you most efficiently teach them? It might be worth looking into tutors, online programs, but definitely prioritize what it is that you feel is most important. And for you, if you are considering putting your children back in school, it might be worth as well looking at the national curriculum, which you can find at tes.com. I think that's the name of the website, tes.com. You can find the national curriculum there and find out, what your children need to know for that stage when they're going to go back into school. Can you make a list of all these resources on your page? Inshallah, one day, not today, but perhaps one day, inshallah. Okay, let's see, Instagram, and then I've got to head off. Okay, oh goodness, so many questions. Okay, so let's put this one on. Is Singapore Maths the same as Maths No Problem? Do you know? I think it is. I think it is, sister. I think they are one and the same. I think Maths No Problem uses the Singapore Maths model, but there is also another maths program called Singapore Maths. I believe that's the case. Okay, let's see if we've got anything else. Do you use a homeschool planner? Have you found anything that works? I use my own method of homeschool planning, which I teach in my course, Launch Your Homeschool. I have my own way of doing things. I don't use anything that you can purchase online. If you're interested in joining that program, if you go to launchyourhomeschool.com, you can put your name on the waiting list. And then when that program starts up again, you can join in that, inshallah. Okay, we've got a question for maths. Any online websites for science? The only one that I have experience with is Sabbath Mood Homeschool. They sell homeschool curriculum in science. It's a living science curriculum, so it aligns with the Charlotte Mason approach. As what we have covered so far is not religious in any way, it's secular, although the author is a practicing Christian, but we haven't come across any Christian references in it so far. So what would I say to a mum whose daughter is doing her GCSEs in year 9? Mashallah, I'm not sure. What should I say? That's wonderful. Okay. A quick way to control anxiety. So if you're talking about the kind of anxiety where this is, a medical condition, a mental health issue, I'm not qualified to help you on that. But if you're talking about just normal anxiety that everybody feels, there are a number of ways you can do that you can deal with that. Quickly, a quick way you can do that, again, renew your intention. Why are you homeschooling your children? That will help to lower your anxiety levels. Another way is to focus on your breathing. How are you breathing right now? Are you tight in your chest, or are you breathing deep, long breaths? So try and change the way you breathe. If you're anxious because something's provoking that anxiety, like noise in your home, little children screaming, take yourself out of that situation for a minute, go upstairs and breathe some deep breaths. If you have more time and it's a more sustained feeling of anxiety, something that will help is definitely journaling. Just write down, unedited, unfiltered, exactly how you feel on a piece of paper, in a notebook, on your phone, however, even just, recording it by voice on a voice recorder. Just get it out of your system. Sometimes that can actually help you to process those emotions and come and find solutions. Those are things that have helped me. And it would also be worth, if anxiety is a regular problem for you, look at your health, your nutrition, your exercise, and if there's a way that you can improve that. If you use essential oils, frankincense is a great one to help with anxiety and any other kind of mental health issues you might be having. I hope that's helped, inshallah. Okay, I've got to get going now. I hope that has helped to answer some of your questions. It's great to have so many of you here on live. I am here if you need me. If you have any questions, especially if you are just starting to homeschool, if you are just taking your first steps into this new world of home education, you can contact me. The best way to contact me is by email, gemma@ourmuslimhomeschool.com. Either myself or somebody from my team will help you with whatever it is you're struggling with. And by all means, join our newsletter. Once a week, I send out a newsletter to everybody with advice, inspiration, resources, whatever it is at the time that I feel is needed. And yes, sign up for that. Just go to ourmuslimhomeschool.com and enter your email somewhere and you'll get those weekly newsletters. Okay, have a great weekend, guys. Assalamu alaikum.